Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Hipster Podcast. This is your host, Jamil Hassan, the Crypto Hipster, where I interview founders, entrepreneurs, executives, thought leaders, amazing people all around the world of crypto and blockchain. And today I have another amazing guest, and she is coming to us live from ETH Denver. Her name is Josie Lewin. She is the COO of Milky Way. Josie, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Jamil. Thanks for having me. Honored to be here.
You're very welcome. Thank you for joining. And let's kick things off. I kick things off with the same question for everybody. Get a
Sure.
meet. Um, what is your background, and is it a logical background for what you're doing now?
So my background is well, I'm from Hong Kong, but I am at Denver right now. I actually came from the Web2 industry, so I actually did was at LinkedIn for a few years doing corporate development. So not, I guess, like the traditional kind of crypto journey where a lot of them came from TradFi or other builder backgrounds. So I'm neither of those. So yeah, and then just one day decide to join Web3, and then joined a central exchange based out of Hong Kong, and then been in product building ever since. Went from central exchange to DeFi infrastructure, and then now Milky Way.
Awesome. So I love the name. I love the name Milky Way. It's my favorite, one of my favorite candy bars. Um, you know, but in this context in crypto, what is it all about, including your role and your vision and your mission?
Sure. So for Milky Way, we started off as a liquid staking protocol for the Celestia ecosystem. So just I guess a bit of background in terms of how we started and also where the name came about. So Celestia, it's a modular chain, and their whole thesis is to basically make data availability much cheaper for rollups, because DA currently accounts for 80% of the transaction fee for rollups. So imagine, which is about approximately 0.15 US dollars, right? So it's not that expensive if you're just making one transaction. But imagine if you want to build like a more interactive game, right? For example, there's some sort of like mechanism in place where the player needs to move around, and imagine every step it takes it's 0.15 USD, or any action that it takes it's 0.15 USD. Then it becomes very expensive, and which is why like more interactive applications still haven't exist yet on chain. And that's why Celestia, like for their first product, for the data availability, is to really increase and bring it down by drastically, since it accounts for 80% of the existing 0.15 USD. And so me and my other two co-founders, we actually met at a company called Tendermint, which is the founding company of Cosmos, back in 2021. And Tendermint had a venture arms back then that invested in Celestia. So this was last cycle when they invested. And so we've been following Celestia for years. And in 2023, we like Celestia was like, oh, finally minute launching. And then so we're like, oh, this is exciting. We've been hearing about them for years, and then they're actually launching. And so my co-founders, being the tech nerds they are, they looked into Celestia's code base, of course, and then was like, ooh, what's in there? JS file, etc. And then they realized they were talking to like other Cosmos OGs as well, and they realized that none of the existing liquid staking providers can actually support Celestia chain because they were missing this module on their chain. And so they pinged the Celestia team and was like, hey guys, you guys are missing this. You need to add it in, or else no liquid staking provider can support you guys. And Celestia team was like, oh no, we just want to keep the chain, minimalistic. And so anything that's not needed for DA, we won't add it in. And because of this, and we're like, okay, like me, I'm from product background, and then my two other co-founders, one's blockchain engineer, one's a full stack front end engineer, and then so we're like, well, we've shipped products before, and we can definitely do this. And it was also during bear market back then, like bear market, like September 2023, like it was dead. And then so we're like, oh, why don't we just do it? Like, shits and giggle and like just sit at home for, 2, 3 months, gave ourselves until the end of the year, basically, and then see if it, happens. If it doesn't, then we're a strong team. We can just, build something else or, drop hunt as a trio. Like, so we're just like, okay, let's just do this. We're like, should we should we, fundraise first? And we're like, nah, just sit at home and just not go anywhere, not spend any money, essentially. And then so we're very, very lucky. We launched, and the market turned. We couldn't have timed it. Like, so we were one of the first products that launched when the market turned, because we were building in a bear, right? And then Tia price, not sorry, not price, Tia action took off as well. The hype, because they also launched right before the market turned. And then so it drew a lot of attention as well. And then we're very lucky to be able to, fundraise in, and then close our seed round led by Polychain and Binance Labs. And in terms of, sorry, there was a very long explanation I haven't gone to why Milky Way is called Milky Way. But then, yeah, so we did liquid staking for Celestia, which is in the Cosmos ecosystem, the chain, right? And then so we're like, what's liquid in the, aerial space? And so we're like, milk. And then so Milky Way. Yeah.
So no inspiration from the candy bar.
No, no. But then the Twitter account, like Milky Way, it's still like the candy bar takes over it. Yeah, I don't think I could ever get that. I don't think the chocolate bar company will ever give up that Twitter account.
Got it. Okay, great. I haven't nearly interviewed enough people from Cosmos or Celestia, so this is good. Um, so I want to find out, what it means to be. You said modular, but you have a term, modular. What does it mean to be a modular staking portal?
That's a wordplay that my team are doing. Yeah, because yeah, we started off in like like the whole aerial space, and then it quickly turned into like very cow related, and then that's more fun, I guess, since it's more memeable. And then so that's why we took that direction. We were debating, we are like, oh, should we go like stars and suns and stuff, or should we go like grass and like milk and cow and everything? And then like literally everyone we asked were like cows, and we're like, let's do it. So we have like a lot of like milk garden and all that stuff. It's really cute. But then in terms of the staking portal, because like I mentioned, the first product line was liquid staking. But it's after we built it, it's kind of like done, right? Because to be honest, we didn't invent the wheel in terms of liquid staking. It didn't come from us. Lado and the other guys have been doing it for years, so we kind of build it. Obviously, we still need to maintain it, but then it's not like a something that we need to dev on continuously. And then so that's when we kind of took a step back in terms of, okay, what are we doing next, right? In terms of our next product line, our next focus after we fundraised. And so we then did a lot of research and due diligence, and we spoke to a lot of the teams that are building, because that's right after the market turned in 2020, early 2024, and a lot of builders like are building again, right? Be it existing builders, or there's also an influx of new builders. And then so we're asking like, what can we do to service? Like, what are you looking for? Are you looking for liquid staking solutions, or are you looking for something else, right? And what we realized is actually there are a lot of projects that build infrastructure and middleware that actually do lack crypto economic security, right? For example, if we take like an Oracle provider, an example, an Oracle provider, like the price feed, is to provide the price feed continuously and in a sustainable, a secure manner. And so their job would be like to push that Bitcoin is at 83K continuously, and to like Uniswap and PancakeSwap and all the other dexes and whatever platforms that use them. And but what is stopping them from pushing the wrong price, right? And so that's why like there has to be some sort of kind of punishment in place and rewards for doing so, for submitting the wrong price, or a reward system in place for submitting the right price. And so that's basically what we've noticed. So it's not just for like oracles, but also for bridging solutions. It's like, okay, why do they need to bridge a transaction from A chain to B chain, right? There needs to be some sort of incentive and also some sort of punishment if they agreed to do it but actually didn't do it. And then same with other sequencers, and also like data availability layer, etc. So we spoke with a lot of these projects, and they struggle to create this sort of security framework for their own product, because after all, it's not their actual product line, right? Their product line is to build the oracle or the bridge or whatever they're building, but they still want this sort of security. And that's when we realized that this sort of security, it's what Eigen has coined restaking. So it exists in the Ethereum world with Eigen and Symbiotic and some other players, in Bitcoin ecosystem with Babylon, and then on Solana with Jito and Solana. But it doesn't exist in the Cosmos and Modular ecosystem, and those are the companies and the friends that we've been speaking with. And so they actually came to us and then with this in mind, saying that like, oh, you did liquid staking, does this mean that you're doing restaking too? Because we actually need the security service. And so it's based on the market demand on of like, hearing all of these, other peers feedback. And then that's why we spent the past few months developing our second product line, which is a restaking platform for the modular ecosystem.
You know, you raise a question I have now, which I didn't have 7 years that I've been a Chainlink holder. Yeah, I'm concerned now about the missing component, missing cryptographic security. How do you improve the oracles so that they have it? And is my investment at risk? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, Chainlink, it's like OG and big enough that everyone trusts, right? Yeah, so for them, I think it's more like people are just waiting in line to get it integrated for a Chainlink pricing oracle. But then for there are a lot of, and because Chainlink is so big and there's such a long waiting time, there are a lot of more smaller players out there, like and new players like oracles popping up left, right, and center, right? But then it's really hard for the other, platforms to just trust a random price feed, right? Yeah, so that's where we have the security in place to provide that peace of mind.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Now I have a peace of mind. So, I want to talk about restaking challenges. That's, what are some of the restaking challenges, that you face today as an industry, right? And how do we solve them so we can grow going forward?
Um, I think for the restaking challenges, it's less on the restaking challenge, but I think more on the industry as a whole. I think right now, maybe it's like this moment right now, that's the sentiment I'm getting as well, being in East Denver. A lot of projects are actually quite lost in terms of the current market landscape, because a lot of people feel like the past few months, it's the only thing that has really taken off or had a proper mind share are the meme coins trading, right? So it's only meme coin trading platforms, AI agents, etc. And so where people actually don't look at security, they don't look at the technology, they don't look at much stuff, and then it's only about the token price and everything of the meme coin trading. So it's kind of shifted in a way in terms of previously, like previous cycles, a lot of people will be like, oh, let's bring traditional finance institutions, not institutions, like different platforms on chain, and to actually make it truly decentralized, and kind of put sovereignty in everyone's hands kind of mentality. So it's a shift in mindset. And so a lot of my friends, we were very lucky in the sense that we actually secured funding, so we're good in terms of building. But I've also seen a lot of projects that are building really legit real world use cases, and they really struggle with funding actually, because a lot of the fund or VCs, they are focusing on liquid rather than primary market. I mean, I've never worked in a VC, so I can't comment on that. But then just me speaking on behalf of like other founders, yeah, so that's quite sad to see them struggling with fundraising.
You did something really interesting. You know, um, you took a really complex topic, a really complex thing that you're doing, architecture, infrastructure, and you added a cow. You added a meme element to it. You know,
Yeah.
how how will that help you, and why should other founders think about adding, even though they're building seriously, adding a meme element, and how do you think that would benefit the industry going forward?
I think one thing is for us, since me and my co-founders, we came from building retail platforms. We've always really, really cared about our users, be it a day to like an individual user or projects that we partner with, right? Um, and so that's why we're like, okay, it is, we are providing security, but since users get to deposit, we should still make it a lot like, more fun and interactive for them to play with, right? Because I feel like most people, when they interact with something on chain, they kind of have that like, this is fun mentality and not super serious. If it's super serious, they, probably using Robinhood or something. And then so that's why we decide to make it, more approachable, and that actually translates to our architecture as well, right? So when we decided to do restaking, we looked into, a lot of the we looked at all of the other players and also spoke with the people building there and their partners as well. And we actually noticed one huge problem for the other existing players. So for them, the flow would be user, for example, has the ETH, they then take it and then they stake it or restake it. Basically, they just put it there and then that's it. Or they can choose, an operator to delegate it to, but that's kind of it, right? It stops there. And then from their perspective, like, so I asked them, right? And I was like, hey, do you know what you're actually doing with these protocols? And they're like, yeah, I get points. I get airdrop. And I'm like, but do you know what your ETH is being used for? And they're like, I get points. And I'm like, "Mate, no," but then okay, and then so these are like, degen users or like people building in other verticals. Obviously, people in the infra space, they know a bit more. And then I speak with the operators, right? I'm like, "Are the users delegating to you, et cetera?" And they're like, "Well, it's kind of hard because from a user like degen or just a day-to-day user perspective, all operators are more or less the same. It's just simply not fun to choose an operator. Like, like they're all just, run services, right? I mean, they can choose one, but it's kind of like, it's unless you're an institution where you have strict rules that you have to partner with this or go through, stringent due diligence, or else like it's just not fun for a day-to-day user. And from the projects that are being secured, from their perspective, they also don't get access to these users because there is that gap, right? It's like user choose that operator if they want to, and then the operator then choose which projects that they want to secure. So there's no connection between the project and the user. So users don't get to choose a project, which is actually more fun for them. And then projects have no visibility over who these early supporters are for them. And that's when we decide to flip it. So that it translates back to where we really care about, our community, and we make sure that we build the absolute best user experience for them. And so for our design, even though fundamentally it's still the same, providing the security, but then on like the UX level, user can then choose the ABS or the projects that they want to secure. So this makes it a lot more exciting for them because they can be like, oh, this project was like backed by ABC fund, and so I think they will succeed. That's why I want to back them. Or this project was like, the founder has launched ABC protocol before, and then so I think it's also, likely to succeed. Or it's like, they simply pay the highest APR, and so that's why I want to, help and stake to this project. And just like it's a lot more, like due diligence that they can do, and a lot more research that they can do. It's just a lot more fun. And obviously, like, what they actually receive from the projects, it's up to the project's discretion. But from the project's perspective, it's also really nice because they can actually see on chain, like who their early supporters are, how long they've supported them, etc. And then, like, if they want to do some sort of like incentivization program or something, they can actually target, this selected user base instead of with the other protocols, they don't have access to these users at all.
So let me get this straight.
Yep.
People are not just buying crypto on platform. You're actually allowing them the opportunity to invest in pre-seed projects or seed projects.
That's an interesting way to put it. It's actually, you're not the first to say it. Actually, the projects themselves has said it as well, that it's kind of like a launch like pad in a way. but it's actually not because it's not an investment. They're just staking their token to secure the projects. And yeah, so they're not purchasing anything.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. I think here in the oh, that's just a Hong Kong thing or the global thing. Here in the U.S., I could only thing I can do is buy crypto if I'm not a VC, right? Then I can like I'm not going to be able to get access to this early stage,
Yeah.
private, but people can. So that's wonderful, you
Yeah.
know, especially for the people who are savvy investors, right?
Yeah.
Um, you know, so there's this concept out there though. It's you said modular security. Um, there's monolithic versus modular, right?
Yes.
So what's the difference between the two, and why is modular security important and maybe probably an improvement over the monolithic?
So for monolithic versus modular, it's something that when Celestia was launching, they did it with against Solana back then. A lot of marketing campaigns, tons of debates that Nick White went out and did. I was actually just telling him yesterday night. I was like, "Huh, you guys did a really good job then." But yeah, so basically Solana's pitch is like they're just one chain where execution etc it's all done on one chain but then for Celestia their whole point is that they take out the data availability where it doesn't matter which chain you guys or which ecosystem the rollup is on, they can still post data to Celestia, and hence it's a modular thesis where it's like kind of mix and match plug and play kind of system.
Interesting. So what are the advantages?
Pardon?
What are the advantages of having that modular security?
For well, I think for modular, wait, for modular, like it's two different things, right? So first to address monolithic versus modular, then modular, it's just letting people, choose which tech stack. Like they can choose to build on Solana, they can stay, like they can be on Ethereum, whatever. And then, but they can still post data to Celestia. So this is Celestia's their own, value proposition. And then for us, we provide security to projects building within the Cosmos and Celestia ecosystem.
Got it. Okay. Okay, I understand. So a lot of opportunities for choice. So that's a great, you
Yeah.
know. Um, so I wasn't going to ask. I have a couple questions left, and let's change the gears a little bit. Your company is based in Hong Kong.
No,
So no, okay, you're from
I'm
Hong
the
Kong.
only one. Yeah, I'm the only
Oh,
one in the team who's from Hong Kong. Yes.
okay, okay. I
Yeah,
was
we're
I
very
wanted to
spread out. True Tendermint style in that sense. Yeah.
great because I wanted to
Yeah,
get a
so my
lay of the land.
co-founders are Korean, but one's in Seoul, one's in Argentina. Our CTO is Italian who lives in Ecuador, and we have teammates in London, Italy, and India, and Seoul. Yeah.
Great. I love the global approach. It's awesome. Awesome. So then I'll change then I'll ask you about this. Outside of crypto, you are a yoga instructor, right?
I'm a licensed yoga instructor. Yes.
Licensed. Okay, okay. So, I want to find out, especially in this down market right now, or how can practicing yoga or principles of yoga, how can they help people become better investors in crypto?
Become better investors.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, I've never had a professional investment hat on, so I really can't comment on that. Obviously, I've only done like, angels into friends' companies. So never worked in like, fund or anything. So can't really comment on the investment part. But in terms of how I think yoga helps, and I don't think it's just yoga, right? I think it translates to all different sports. I love doing sports in general. So I think for yoga, to me personally, it's a combination of both. It's a sport in the sense that it's just good for your body, but it also has a lot of kind of meditation elements to it that's really good for your brain as well. So to me, like doing physical sports, it's like working out your physical body, right? And then the meditation part is I think of it as a gym for my brain. Like it just helps with the clarity. It helps me focus on the present. Like so because the thing for crypto, especially working online remote, is you need to be able to context switch very fast. And then so it really helped me in terms of like I can context switch, but then also very focus on that one thing that I'm looking for, or sorry, looking at, and that's something that I personally think meditation really helps with that that mind space mentality, and to not go insane during these times.
I think I saw the fear index was like like on a scale of 100, the fear index of extreme fear was like 10. It was the
Yeah.
lowest it's been in years, right?
Yeah, I know. And then so like I think like certain breathing techniques just helps.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking as I went to the gym yesterday. I saw my trainer, and he was like, "What are we doing today?" And I was like, "Well, the day before I did full upper body." He's like, "So we're doing leg day?" And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You're not afraid of me?" I'm like, um,
Leg day is always scary.
"Yeah, it is. It is." But he's pretty good. So,
Yep.
so I want to find out. You're on the ground there, Eat Denver, and I didn't ask about Eat Denver yet, but I'll ask you a question about Eat Denver. What do you see as like the big, things going on there? The overall theme, besides Bybit and the hack, besides that, what is the overall theme? What are the takeaways you're going to bring to help build your platform forward?
It's actually my first time at ETH Denver, so I can't really compare it with other times. I have heard it from other people that it's quieter compared to previous ETH Denvers. That's just passing on a comment. I personally really like it because I was well, yeah, Consensus was in Hong Kong last week, right? And then I'm from Hong Kong, and then so obviously, I met with a lot of people. It's really nice in the sense that it's very different, right? For Consensus, it's very institutional focus, which is also very needed. But at the same time, Denver, like to me, it's like, oh, it's change of scenery because it's very builder focused, and then so it's really nice to talk about, like me coming from a product background, to talk about architecture, what's on other companies, other like companies and other friends roadmap. So it's less about the tokenomics talking, but more about the product talking. And then so that's really fun, and because at the same time we can also not semi ignore the market in the sense, because then we're talking just about building, and then so that's to me it's fun. It's like being physical out there, meeting people, talking, don't really not really staring at the screens in terms of the price action and everything. I think that's really good, and there are still a lot of passionate builders out there building, so that's really fun. Yeah.
Awesome. So I want to thank you very much for your time today. I
Yep.
enjoyed talking to you. Um,
Likewise.
yeah, I have one last question.
Yep.
How can people find out more information about you, about Milky Way? How can they do that?
Absolutely. So yeah, so please follow our socials. We have Twitter, Telegram, Discord, etc. And then also feel free to DM me anytime. I'm always checking.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks so much for having me, Jamil. Have a good day.